Hello and welcome to another episode of Momento Malum today. Around 1920, many farmers in Saskatchewan became interested in growing apples for their own use. As a result, the development and promotion of hardy small apples and crab apples began. These cultivars were released from early breeding programs during that time period. Some of these farmers took a keen interest in apple growing and became quite skillful at it. It wasn't long until some orchard had grown to the size where production was larger than the needs of a family or close friends. These farmers began selling to the larger community, attracting customers from as far away as 100 kilometers. This was further enhanced with the appearance and mass production of automobiles. Through this process, a drive to pick up a fruit at some local orchard became a good fall outing for the local family. Many of these cultivars could produce fruit that could be stored in root cellars for several months, but most of the fruit was used for canning or applesauce. The orchard business was good and provided a significant portion of the farm income for many producers. However, after a number of years, market forces began to put pressure on these small commercial orchards on the prairies. Producers in warmer climates were benefiting from advances in production and storage techniques, as well as a more efficient distribution system, as well as the development of chemical and disease pest management systems. The most popular apples were also able to be grown within the warmer climates of eastern Canada, Red and Golden Delicious being such examples. The Macintosh became very popular, and the fruit of our apple cultivars became available in the coming years. The locally produced fruit was considered inferior to the current cultivars being grown in Saskatchewan, and the best of the local cultivars were not reliably hardy, being winter-killed during severe winters. The culling blow to this industry was the winter of 1942, a very severe winter that killed off the majority of the apple cultivars. As a consequence, many of the commercial orchards of the prairies downsized or completely disappeared. A few of the outliers were determined to produce new varieties. These determined growers would become the first pioneers at breeding new, hardy fruit varieties, especially for apples. At the same time, a number of growers and Dr. C.F. Patterson of the University of Saskatchewan had already begun doing breeding work prior to this crisis. The federal government, through the AAFC, would combine these forces with the Western Canadian Society of Horticulture into one singular project called the Prairie Cooperative Fruit Breeding Project. The Canadian feds would begin withdrawing their financial support for this project in 1953 for reasons unknown, but a few private breeders and provincial government institutions carried on this project. With the exception of the areas with warmer winters near northern Manitoba, commercial apple production on the prairies was almost non-existent between 1950 and 1985. The introduction of good apple cultivars from the Prairie Cooperative Fruit Breeding Project in the late 70s would change this. Commercial production would begin in the mid-80s. The first cultivar that came out of this project was called Norland. This was hardy enough to survive in Saskatchewan and had good fruit quality, making it a well-suited commercial production cultivar. It also ripened in mid-August, making it the first good dessert apple available. After Norland, a series of apple introductions was made through the co-op seedlings and from other breeding programs, leading to an interest in commercial production. In 1999, the University of Saskatchewan released Prairie Sun, a hardy apple of excellent processing quality, good dessert quality. Since that time, the Saskatchewan breeding programs have made a myriad of new cultivars, many of these already available for commercial production. If you want to donate to my channel, the links are below. If you want to buy my book, you can also find that link in the description box below. By 2003, the apple breeding program at the University of Saskatchewan had bred a great many cultivars. 68 cultivars and experimental lines were selected from the apple breeding program at the university. Much of the material resulted from crossbreeding efforts made since the 60s by Dr. S.H. Nelson, Dr. Stishoff, and Dr. Sawatsky. This was done primarily at Saskatoon. These were analyzed to determine their pedigree. The ancestry of the advanced selections made at the university could be traced back to 15 cultivars and 2 wild species, with 23% of the genetic contribution coming from open pollination. An additional 25 cultivars had been the intermediate parents, with Brooklyn and Haralson providing the largest contribution to the gene pool. Since Brooklyn is a descendant of Haralson, Haralson seems to be the most recent ancestor of the majority of the prairie cultivars. And that will covers everything. Thank you for watching.